Hi, I'm Ella, welcome to my channel. I have a really bad track record with NaNoWriMo, so this year I decided to start planning really early and I'm taking you along with me. In this video, I'm going to be talking about developing your subplots. Hopefully by this point, you have a pretty good idea of what the main storyline of your novel is. However, if your story only focuses on one main thing the entire way through, well, quite frankly, it's going to be a little bit boring. So this is where we're going to start adding in all of your subplots. Your subplots can consist of literally anything. They can be plot or character driven, they could focus on internal or external struggles, and they could also revolve around relationships between people, friendships, love interests, enemies. Literally anything you can think of could become a subplot. The difference between main plots and subplots, though, is that your subplots do not need to span the entire length of your novel. And while I would suggest that your characters are developing throughout the entire novel, one of your characters may go through a particular bit of development through a certain section of your novel, and that could be its own subplot. And even if it's not a plot on its own, you should still have all of your character developments and themes mapped out on a plotline. In some of my earlier videos, I gave a basic structure for coming up with your plot, which consisted of your hook, your first plot point, your midpoint, climax, and resolution. You can use this structure for your subplots too. An alternative structure that you could try would consist of your hook, so where the character starts, your first plot turn, which is the movement between the beginning and the midpoint, where the conflict is introduced, pinch number 1, where pressure is applied, your midpoint, which would be the exact middle place between the beginning and end states. Then your second pinch, where more pressure is applied and the situation seems hopeless. Plot turn 2, which is the midpoint between the midpoint and the end. And then your resolution, where your characters end and everything throughout the novel leads to this point. If you prefer that structure, it could also be used for your main plot line as well. A quick tip to try with that: if you're struggling going through your plot in chronological order, try starting at the end and then working backwards. Decide where your characters are going to end in the novel and then work backwards to figure out what steps they need to take to get to that point. In order to add suspense and build your reader's interest, you should have your main character go through try-fail cycles. Before they actually succeed in what they're trying to do, you should have them attempt it and fail at least twice beforehand. They really need to earn that ending. If you want, for each try-fail cycle, you can map out its own subplot. Key moments, such as your final conflict, could also have their own subplot, or you should at least be mapping out further key points throughout that one key moment. Especially with your final conflict, as this is where you're going to be drawing most of your loose ends together. When you have a good number of subplots, I'd say at the very least 5, but depending on your novel you may have less or a lot more. This is when you should start placing them along the main timeline for your novel. Spreadsheeting can come in incredibly useful here. If you want a more physical version that you can actually move around yourself, I'd suggest using sticky notes to start with before putting it down on a spreadsheet or something. My suggestion would be to have a line for each storyline or subplot, and then you can line them up underneath each other and move them around until they fit in place nicely. So you'd have your main storyline along the top, and then underneath you can start slotting in pieces of shorter storylines or subplots. The way they're all spread out is going to dictate your pacing. If you tactically line up some of these key points through your subplots and storylines, that will enable you to create some very powerful moments and scenes. So there you have some of my ideas on creating subplots and storylines and fitting them all together. If you found it useful, please make sure to give this video a like and make sure to subscribe to keep updated when I post my latest videos. Till next time, bye!